Well, it was a. I've been eligible for retirement for quite a while, and months, and have been thinking about it, and actually probably a little bit more than that, reflecting on it pretty deeply, and what else I could be doing with my career and everything, and anyway, I've reflected on that a long time, and it's pretty complex. You try to balance your family life, you try to balance your church life, your job. You certainly understand your love and passion for this place and the kids and the coaches here, and you want to, or at least myself, I want to do a great job in that area too. So I think everybody knows it's a busy situation, and so I was just contemplating on maybe trying to slow down a little bit, and felt like after literally months of reflection that it's probably time to go do that, and then just being honest, I announced it to my wife about Saturday morning, and then the team Saturday afternoon, and then I got to drive the bus home from team camp from Arkansas. One of my coaches couldn't make the trip back, and in that 3 hours there was an amazing amount of memories that popped up on my phone, just to be honest with you. I wasn't watching it while I was driving. My daughter was keeping track of that. But so anyway, got home Saturday night, and my daughter's read a few of those things. Read a lot of those things to me, and it's very easy to get caught up in things that a lot of times aren't as important as they should be, and that time of reflection really helped me bring back why I do what I do, and the kids and the coaches, and text messages from 1986, okay, from kids that I haven't heard from in almost 30 years, and I don't know, my heart just told me that if Jenks would have me back, probably I've got another good run left in me. So I mean, nothing crazy, but that's just kind of how it happened.
Is it kind of like a football in your blood kind of thing when it comes right down to it?
Man, Al, that's a great question, because I've been here so long. It's almost like Channel 2 and Al Jerkins. It's your family. It's more than your job. You just don't go clock in at Jenks. It's been a huge part of my life. My daughters have gone here. It's been a great experience for my family. I mean, over the years we've had opportunities to go different places and do different things, but yet it always just seems like Jenks is home, and it's more than a job. So that weighs a lot into my thinking there.
So were they text messages to the effect of, "Hey, don't do this yet," or was it just?
Oh no. It was just hearing from past players, track athletes from the '80s, and it was neat. It was very positive. It was very heartwarming.
How much of an impact did that have on your decision to decide to not retire? Your former players reaching out to you, even coaches around this area. I know a lot of them have reflected on your decision on Saturday. What impact did that have on your decision today?
Well, and not to get too personal with it, but I'm one of those weird guys that think that this is my calling more than it is my job. And I really believe that I'm at this place to and now that I'm getting a little older, to mentor coaches and people and as well as players. So is that what brought me back? It's probably not what brought me back physically to Jenks, but it brought me back mentally to what I really need to be doing, if that makes any sense to you.
Is it kind of fair to say like the decision to retire was like a logical decision?
To
come back was an emotional decision?
And I'm a geometry teacher, so there's all kinds of flow charts at the house, okay, on this is good and this is not so good. And from temporal standards, you could easily justify going and doing something else, but maybe for long-term standards, it's best that I be here.
Just don't bring up analytics.
No analytical geometry, Al.
Were there any, in your final negotiations to stay, were there any, compromises made in certain areas?
Negotiation is really a strong word, because, when you walk in and you tell your boss you quit, a lot of times negotiations are off the table. Usually just the two guys in suits help you to your car, So not really any negotiations at all. This place is a real team-oriented place. We're like any tight-knit family. We don't really share a lot of things with outside people, but I can tell you the way we're set up here is, everybody has a equal footing. We all work together. We have a common mission of trying to mentor kids. So no, there's not a giant bag of money somewhere or 20 extra vacation days. None of that is even discussed, especially as financially tight as things are now.
When you made that decision last week and announced it to your team on Saturday, was that you retiring from football in general, or had you closed the door on coaching elsewhere, or is
No, no. I mean, the line of work I'm in. I have 2 girls in college at the same time, so no, retirement just as in I'm not working at Jenks anymore. But no, they're and obviously working on it months in advance. There were other people I had to call. That I had been working on other opportunities. I mean, you can't just walk away. So, I hope that answers your question.
Did it ever come about, boy, come September and I'm not coaching at the defending state champs, that it would be a weird feeling? Did that ever enter your mind?
Yeah.
About, I'm going to miss this stuff when it really
Well,
happens?
yeah, and I don't know who really said it first, but the last person I heard say this was Coach Frederick at Union. For 14 nights a year, I have the greatest job in the country. And that's really a true statement, because with your coaches and your players, that's why you do this. There's a lot of other cargo that goes with it that you would could do without, but it's those relationships, and the bonding and the tough times you go through. I mean, that's the stuff you'll always remember. Yeah, there was a lot of thought on that.
You still coming back to, are you going to teach as well still, or?
Well, right now I don't have many teaching responsibilities. I teach a worth the wait curriculum, which only meets about 20 times a year. So my teaching responsibility is enjoyable but not overwhelming.
There were coaches that talked about the pressure of coaching at a school like Jenks. Was there at any time in this process where you said, "Gosh, I've got to start this all over again in September, and I'm kind of tired"?
Well, that's a good question, Mike. Yeah, I'm always tired, but no, there wasn't. I enjoy what I do, and it is hard work. And somehow I dodged the pressure thing. As a player and as a coach, I think I put enough pressure on myself that I don't have to worry about everybody else's pressure, if that makes any sense.
Can you just talk for a minute about the pressure in general of working Jenks football?
Well, I could say probably in 1996 when Jenks took a chance on me, with no head coaching experience, there was some pressure then because I didn't know how to take roll. I didn't know the school policies, but we've walked a few miles since then, so it's a way different perspective now. Now it's I'm an old guy and I love the kids, I love what I do, and I hope, like everything, those kids can win that last game. It's more of a dad type of thing. I know that sounds weird, but I'm kind of their biggest fan now, if that makes any sense to you.
Were you surprised at all by the outpouring from your former assistants or coaches elsewhere now, as far as reflecting on Saturday?
Surprised? Probably some of them that I was such a hard driver as a young guy. Probably it's a wonder they talk to me anymore. But we've been blessed. This district has hired some of the greatest people. Not just because they've gone on and become head coaches, and a lot of them have been really successful, but just because they're good people. They're good mentors to kids, and I've never shied away from hiring head coaches or guys that are a lot smarter than me, and somehow that's always worked for us. So. I really appreciate it. I know that in a career as long as mine, I haven't handled every situation as good as it could have been, and I know that You know, I'm also one of those guys that can probably tell you the score to every loss, but I can't tell you the score to every win. You know, and that's a bad habit sometimes. But it's you know, it's a tribute to Jenks for just being willing to hire really good people. You know, and being blessed to work with some of them.
Without getting too personal, how has your family reacted to the last 4 days? Were they, what are you doing, Dad? Or, you know?
I would say if you've ever seen like a collegiate wrestling match that went 3 overtimes, how those guys look after it's over, that's kind of how my family feels. They're tired, you know. I have the sweetest wife ever to tolerate what I do and to tolerate me. And honestly, I was just sharing with Bonnie, they just want me to be happy. You know, they know I've chosen a tough line of work. They know I'm passionate about it. They know I love it. They know it's part of me, and by default, it's part of them. But you know, they just want me to be happy. You know, I mean, that's the bottom line. And I think my wife is ready for me to go back and go to work and quit wallowing around and worrying about things. Yes.
How would you kind of describe the last couple of days? Stressful, emotional, tiring?
Yes, perfect. I mean, just really worried about my coaches. You know, we're a pretty tight-knit bunch at times, and it's not like me to leave someone high and dry. You know what I mean? And I've been on the other side of that when coaches have transitioned to other jobs and things. So very burdensome with regard to the players, and burdensome and heart-wrenching to the guys that work for me to have to put them in that situation, especially on such short notice. You know, so yeah, that's where most of my thoughts have been.
Have you ever thought about the monster that you have fed over the years? Obviously, Jenks football was successful before you started coaching. But my goodness, over 20 years, you win 13 state titles. I mean, the bar is about as high as you could possibly. Do you ever think about how in the world am I ever going to do better than this?
I don't really think that. What I think of, Al, is, and again, you know, when you're trying to make a tough and what you would think would be a life-changing decision, you try to surround yourself with trustworthy people who, you know, have great mental balance, good Christian faith, and you know, the people I've talked to, one of them has their name on this building. You know, when you look back on that, you wonder. I mean, you can't explain how it's happened. You know, you can't explain with offense and defense how it's happened, because there have been years where we've had better players. There have been years where we have not. You know, you know, if you could figure out how to bottle what all has happened, you could retire today. But no, I reflect on, you know, just the blessing of how it happened. I mean, why would they even hire me? You know, I didn't even have head coaching experience. You know, to think about that. You know, it was on-the-job training for a head coach at Jenks. You know, and that would be a tough press conference. You know, if you were the guy who hired me back then. So that's what I reflect on. It's just amazing. It's a tribute to a great community, an administration with enough foresight and guts to take a chance. Great kids, great parents. You know, I mean, you hear it all the time. It's just hard to explain. You really can't explain it. You know, I just happened to be the main bus driver when it all happened.
Kind of to add to that, were there any thoughts when you talked with Tony on Saturday about your retirement, about the future for Jenks? Because I know I talked with one coach who said, I don't want to replace Trimble. 13 titles in 20 years. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Were there any thoughts about that on Saturday?
Oh, in Coach Dillingham's defense, he didn't get a lot of reaction time from me. He got to hear it about 5 minutes before everybody else did. So, you know, my thoughts, and again, I just try to coach. I don't really try to project. But you know, there are no less than 3 or 4 guys that coach here right now that you would never know the difference, you know, than what's going on now. And I've always tried, you know, as the head coach, you know, you always want to be in position if you have to leave or if you go, that no one notices, you know, and that's just how we try to do it, you know.
Do you have amount of time that you think you'll have in your mind of how much longer you want to stay? Or?
Well, that's a great question, you know. I don't know. I think as long as I stay focused on why I came here, I'll be fine. I could do it for a while. You know, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I have had a couple of health-related challenges lately, you know, and one of them I'm having a hard time getting figured out, you know, but it hasn't slowed me down enough to where I would be worried about it yet, you know.
So you're not thinking just one more season?
No crutch. No timeline yet. I might give Tony more than a 5-minute warning though next time.
Can you talk about exactly the moment when you decided you were going to make this decision and come back? Was it Saturday night, or and you just
No.
spent the last 2 days working up to it, or has it? Can you talk about the timeline?
There's a lot of conversations between Saturday morning and whenever I met with Bonnie this morning at 10 o'clock or whenever it was, 10:30. So it's just a lot of wrestling, you know. I don't know. I have a hard time just, I'm like I said, I like to process and sometimes it's very difficult. I guess sometimes my dad would say, you know, you think long, you think wrong, or you can't goof it up, you know. I had great choices, great options, and but again, I feel like the good Lord has put a great purpose here for me, and we're not done with that yet.
You said there were no negotiations, but just to make sure I'm right here, is the situation exactly the same as it was as far as administration or money or salary? Or
Well, I have to now go tell the teacher's retirement system, you know, because you have to do that months in advance. I have to go back and let them know that they probably need to cancel that for a while. So yeah, but that's, you know, that'll be it. It'll be simple because my last official date before retirement was June 30th. So it's a few more weeks, you know. So it's fine.
So duties, responsibilities, salary.
Yep, just get the boat plane back out on the water, hopefully.
What have been the discussions like with the current players so far? I know you just talked about this today.
Well,
Have you had any discussions yet, or, you know, what are their?
Well, you know, Harold, I haven't seen them. They're off this week, so I've seen a few of them in the weight room, you know, a voluntary lifting thing. But you know, they're the ones that are probably still out there going, I wonder what the old guy's really thinking. You know, there haven't been a lot of communication other than through my coaching staff to those guys. So it'll be good to talk to them next Monday when they come back, if they come back.
But in turn, when you can talk about it with the current students, you know, is it kind of one of those things you thought about them?
You know, you know, any coach would say this, but you know, I mean, to the player, we have a group of kids that just are so committed. You know, they do everything we tell them to do, and then today they're down there lifting and they're supposed to be off. You know, they have a very, very high commitment level. You know, they want to be good, and you know, again, that's what we teach them. You know, that's what we require of them. And here, I'm the guy that goes in and you know, throws the wrench in those gears for those kids. So, you know, it'll take a little patching up and you know, so yeah, it's tough, especially on young guys that don't understand it. You know, at least these older guys, the coaches, they're concerned, but they get it, you know, quicker probably.
You know, you were retiring after 4 straight state titles, so that was probably pretty nice.
Well, all the variables would add up, right? My last daughter just graduated. Yeah, there's a lot of good reasons for that too, but yeah.
Kind of set the bar a little high for the next time.
Yes. That's okay. I think you could ask. It's those are all good, but that's not why we do it. I know that sounds crazy, but that's just a byproduct of doing other things.
Rumors happened on Saturday. You know, obviously with the Jenks team being in Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville, getting ready to hire their next head coach. Were there any talks there? Were the rumors?
Oh my gosh. You know, no talk, no communication at all from me to Fayetteville or Fayetteville to me. But now lots of people talking about communication, but no, they never contacted me. You know, I know that Rick Jones, who's a good friend of mine, who's at Greenwood, Arkansas, you know, great coach over there. I know that he had contacted some coaches in this area about that job opening. And obviously there had been some talk of me retiring. So, I mean, I know that it's out there that, hey, you know, you ought to look into that thing, but we never did do that.
And now what are your thoughts? Because all the reports are that Bill Blankenship is going to be the next head coach of Fayetteville.
Well, I think it's awesome. I mean, you know, just knowing Bill the way I know him, he also has a niche for high school coaching. I mean, he's a good man. He's a good Christian guy. He's good for high school kids. It's my understanding that's a great job. I know it pays well. I know they have some great players. They're in a good district. So, I mean, I would be excited. If that's what it is, I would be excited to see him get back in it and really get back into what he's really, really good at,